Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Coaching Program. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I train people for improved personal and professional development, offering my assistance for those ready to develop their goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. And this podcast is one of the tools I use to complete my mission. Now, how this podcast works is simple. You get 10 minutes of audio, a 10-minute lesson that you can take away at the 10-minute mark and use towards your personal or professional development. You can take some tool that we talked about here and instantly apply it to your life and move on to something that should work greater. And if what you're hearing is something that sounds so familiar, it's like maybe it's what you're already doing right now, you can take this message as reinforcement to the idea that you have. It's a solid and positive idea that might need a little fine-tuning. We can help you out with that. Check out the website, 10minutelifecoach.com, and see if there's a package or plan that can connect you and I together so we can work on that together. Now, today, if we plan these things out right, this episode should come out on New Year's Day. So happy 2018 to you if we did it right. If not, we'll tweak it and just kind of work out with it. It should come out somewhere in the holiday season, pretty close to the beginning of the new year. And this is the time where you would usually hear talk about resolutions and talk about goal setting and talk about things like that. And we will get to that next week. But today, we're going to talk about me mostly and talk about how you may need to skew your life just in a different view to make sure that things are sort of running the way they should be towards your goals. Now, I describe the life I live as a life that is boring on purpose. And while that is kind of a weird way to talk about one's life, it sums up pretty simply how I like to live. I want as little drama in my actual life as possible. Now, there are times where I play up drama for effect when I'm doing my bits on the radio, or sometimes I'm doing things for my presentations here in the life coaching stuff and in the personal development stuff and things like that. But as far as my actual life, when I turn off the microphones and there are no cameras rolling and there's no people that are looking for weird types of stunts from me to bring in people, I want everything to run as smoothly as possible. I like my small business, which is mostly me and a few hands that help out with things, to run as smoothly as possible. That sometimes doesn't work out so well being a small business, but it's what I'm always working towards in my own personal development and improvement. I like my personal life, my home life with my wife and my kids and all extended family to be drama-free. I don't want confrontations for confrontation's sake. I don't want all kind of crazy silliness that happens when things get out of whack and people misunderstand things. I definitely don't like drama at my corporate work job because I work for a corporation that works for shareholders, and they could care less about the drama going on in my life. I like my life to be as drama-free as possible. I like the work environment to be as drama-free as possible. And I like to do my contributions to the folks at the workplace, so they like to work with me with as little drama as possible. So there is no problem, and there's no reason to dismiss me from that job. It's a very nice job. Radio is what it is, and being in it is kind of cool. So I do my best to stay in it as best as possible. So I say I live a life that is boring on purpose, but that doesn't mean I live a boring life. I just live a life that does not have the drama of the effect that you would see on a sitcom or TV drama because people start to believe things they see. I don't live in a reality show bubble where every single week within an hour's time, I have to deal with some sort of wacky incident in some sort of entertaining way that comes up with some sort of weird sitcom resolution wrapped up in a bow. I don't want that. I don't need that. I ain't got time for that. I do plenty of great, interesting things. I talk to plenty of great, interesting people. I see lots of great, interesting things go on every single day. But as far as putting myself out there for craziness and silliness and just strife that is not necessary, I don't do that. As I state often, I live a life that is boring on purpose. I go to work. I deal with my coworkers there. I don't do anything out of the ordinary. I don't try to get in any scuffles. I don't try to start any mess for entertainment purposes there. I do the same thing with my household. I try my best to be as great a husband and as great a father as possible. And because life is what it is, and silliness occurs in its own, we deal with that. We also deal with a lot of just general pain that happens. We've talked about my health scare much recently. We've talked about my wife dealing with her cancer in the last year. We've talked about issues of my daughter who had some issues as she was a baby that she's grown out of now as a beautiful and very healthy kid. We talk about my son and the issues that he has now as a young adult, learning how to be an actual adult now that he's decided it's probably best to be an adult and then try to be a kid forever. We talk about also the issues on those levels as well. But I don't do anything that's going to jeopardize the sanity of myself and the sanctity and safety of my family for the sake of it just ought to be. I don't go out clubbing late at night because it's fun, because it's not fun. I'd rather be at home dealing with myself and maybe a small intimate group of friends than being out in the wild with various people I don't know who have their own crazy agendas and don't know how to handle themselves, trying to get in my way and handle me. Call me antisocial, call me an extreme introvert, call me whatever you want to, but I live a controlled life because it works out for me. I have my own things that I must do for my sanity, must do for my health, must do for keeping things in order that require me to make sure those things happen. So I'm scheduled, I'm organized, I'm boring, but I do that on purpose because the greater good. No amount of quick fun is going to ruin all the things I've worked hard for in the past and all the things I'm working towards coming forth in the future. Stepping out on my wife is a no-no. I wouldn't want to do it. I don't need to do it. There's no reason to do it to ruin that relationship and ruin that thought process that we have as a family. So why entertain the idea when it's a dumb idea in the first place? There are so many things about me that are pretty cool and pretty interesting. We could sit down and have great conversations on things. But as far as doing silly, outlandish, crazy things in my life, there's very few things that I have done that didn't have a purpose, didn't serve some greater good or some learning experience that was ridiculous. I've stayed out later than I should have in my younger days and learned not to do that. I may have taken a little too much alcohol in my younger days and have learned not to do that. There was a time that me and some buddies in college jumped out of airplanes because somebody talked us into doing it. And somewhere inside the plane, I realized I don't really want to do this. And I did it because I was on the plane. And when the next batch of kids were going up to do their jump, trust me, I was nowhere near that setup and let them do that on their own because it wasn't fun. I learned fairly quickly what was fun for me and what is not fun for me and what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And because of that, I very carefully craft my life so that it is boring on purpose, which does not mean my life is boring. It really just means my life is as free of drama caused by myself as possible. Drama happens, problems happen, things get in the way, but not because I did something foolish and made it so it was come upon myself. I do my best to avoid any drama that can come my way. I am offering up to you a thought process, a challenge for the year 2018, and that is to eliminate as much drama from your life in this next year. Eliminating a lot of the drama will do so much for you. The wonders will be enormous of what happens when there's less stress coming in from dramatic areas. Maybe it's different people, maybe it's different situations, maybe it really is you causing all the drama because you think it's cool and fun. Try the opposite. Try drama-free. Try a little boring. You can still do creative and crazy things, but you don't do them because they're crazy. You do them because you'll gain something out of it. You do that because you want to learn something from it. Don't just do it because it's out there. Crazy and spontaneous are not the same thing. I'm asking you, I'm challenging you, 2018, to drop a bit of the drama and work for being a bit more stable, a bit more steady, maybe a bit more of a boring life. And that's the end of this episode for this week and the beginning of the episode for the year, if we planned it out correctly. Thank you so much for being a part of all that's going on within the 10-Minute Life Coach. Coming in a few weeks, when we get out of some of this long batch of episodes to get through the holiday season, we'll start talking about some ways that you can step in and help out me and help out some of the situations we have going on. Like we said, this was the episode about me, and so the housekeeping is basically all about me. We're going to launch a Patreon account so that you can help us out that way for essentially the 10-Minute Life Coach and all my J. Cleveland Payne issues. We also will launch some form of a $10 Life Coach community, and that's just $10 a month that will get you into a way that we can gather, we can talk, we can chat, and we'll take care of each other. Plus, when I launch a few extra things, you'll get first stab at a lot of things right there for free, if not for free, for pretty much bottom basement prices. So that's going to happen there. But we're going to have to get into the new year and get through some things first as well. I thank you so much for all you folks who have given, whether before this has been recorded or as this is airing, because we batched about 6 episodes to get through Christmas and New Year's. All the people who sent me support for all the episodes we've had in, and just love for all the things I'm going through. My wife definitely appreciates all the love and support you've given to her for what she's going through. And my kid both my kids, but the little one specifically likes things to be about them. So they, of course, appreciate all the attention you've given them as well. Look for more of these deeper stories in the future as I am slowly convincing the wife that our stories need to be a bigger part of the mission and the ministry that is sort of the 10-Minute Life Coach. I'm calling it a mission and a ministry, although not necessarily that it's convicted towards that way. It's just what it is. And look for more input from folks like you as we reach out and gather up in communities to talk about what some of us are doing to be better people every single day. I do want to mention very quickly yourbetteryou.info and the Steps Your Better You podcast, which is essentially a companion podcast and website to the 10-Minute Life Coach. This is going to be my main arm for the personal development business that is going on. While the 10-Minute Life Coach is a specific thing on its own and will live on its own, most of the actual coaching and training and teaching is going to be focused at the other website, and most of the things branded towards that, as you'll see. We'll see if timing and you guys tell me to do otherwise. But check out Steps Your Better You, the podcast, which is basically anywhere you find this podcast, plus yourbetteryou.info, which will be a bigger home. Had an issue with it where we lost a website and had to rebuild it, so some of the things that were housed there got erased and had to be rebuilt. So that's been part of the reason why it has not been pushed for months, because it's essentially just been the home of the podcast. But we're going to go back to rebuilding the business as it should be and paying attention to things like that. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much. Welcome to your brand new year. If we did this the right way, it is January the 1st. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Coach community. Very soon, you'll find new ways to get into us and talk to us directly so you know who's out there. And the biggest thing I've had about this community, it's not a bunch of dudes howling at the moon. It's a group of people, men, women, all of us, who just want to get a little bit better. And the 10 minutes about the coaching thing, you get the lesson in 10 minutes, you're done, you're ready to go. And hopefully you stick around for these housekeeping and credits. In the meantime, thank you so much. Welcome to the new year. I challenge you to be a bit less dramatic and be here again next week for the 10-Minute Life Coach.